Good morning, everyone. This is Ida of Created to Create. Welcome back to my channel. I have a project share, and I made some sunflowers. I hadn't made any, and I wanted to make some for just for the fall, for my fall projects that if I decided I wanted to add a sunflower, I wanted to have some ready. And this is actually the very first time I make a sunflower. If I'm correct, this is the first time. So the first one that I created, I wasn't too crazy about it. It's okay. There's the first one that I created. And what I did to this one, I did add some diamond dust, and I kind of didn't like the way it looked. And I added some beads in the center for the center of the sunflower. That was okay. I like that, but I felt like I didn't like the glass glitter on it. But it's still okay. I will still use it, but it's not my favorite. And sometimes I like flowers, whimsical flowers, and sometimes I like them to look more realistic. Now, when I was looking for a die to create a sunflower, I wanted the Heartfelt Creation one. But the more I looked at it, I thought, no. Because it's beautiful. You get the stamp and you get the die set. But I didn't like the fact that the petals were very, it only had a few petals. A sunflower has a bunch of petals. So I looked through my stash and I knew I had a die that I had bought. And I couldn't find it. And finally I had it in. Usually I keep my flower dies no matter what type of flower it is with my flower dies. In this case, I had put it in with my fall things. And I don't have very many. So I kind of separated my fall embossing folders and stamps and kind of kept them all together because it's only a little bit. And I found the sunflower. And this is the sunflower that I used to create my sunflower. And it came with this one. And this is from AliExpress. It came with this one. And I love the detail in the sunflower. And it also came with the stem. And then it came, believe it or not, it came with this little, I believe, with this little tiny leaf, if I'm not mistaken. I'm wanting to think it came with these as well. I think it did come with these. So these are the leaves that I used. Yes. And then it came with the center of the sunflower. And then I did have a different sunflower, and it's okay to mix and match your flowers, guys. If you're creating a sunflower, you can use two different dyes from different sunflowers. So this is another one that I had. The only thing with this one, if you notice, the petals are not separated. They're all connected, and I kind of like them like this one, that the petals are all separated. So I like that. Anyway, that is the one that I used, and today I want to show you my flowers and kind of hopefully a fast tutorial on how I created them. Now, when I go to create a flower or anything that I go to create, I like to look up on the internet and look for the real flower if I want them to look realistic and see what they actually look like, and I try to mimic what they look like in real life. So here are the ones that I created. A lot of you know that I used to be a cake decorator. So a lot of times, I was making, whether it be, I don't think I ever made a sunflower, but I would make the 3D bows. I would make roses all the time, but I have made, I made orchids, just different types of flowers. And they had to be 3D because in any craft that you do, you always want to do really good work. You want to offer people something that they don't see every day. So that was my goal when I was a cake decorator. So anyway, this is the sunflower that I created. What I did different on this one, when I went and looked at the sunflowers, they do have a green backing on them. I don't remember what this is called. I can't tell you all the correct names. But it does have a green, and it kind of looks like the sunflower petals, but it's in green. So I added a green one to the back. And then I added 3 layers of the yellow for the sunflower. And then the top, I did it in a chocolate brown. And I added some brown or copper. I think it's more like a brown glass glitter. And that's what I added to the center of the flower. And I actually like the glass glitter better than the beads. They both look good, but I think the glass glitter looks better. Even though you don't see them that way in the natural, I did want a little bit of shine to them, but the glass glitter on the petals wasn't doing it for me. But the glass glitter on the center in that color works for me. And then I looked at, I wanted to see what the buds look like before they completely open up. And so here's one that has, you can see the brown center, you can see the yellow and then the green leaves. But then I have another one that you don't see any of the yellow or anything in it. All you see is the green before it even opens up at all. So that's what I created. And these little curlicues are just something I bought a wreath that had a bunch of berries, and I took it apart, and it had a cloth covered wire, and I decided to just take it apart and use it to make curlicues to go on my flowers, so they would look more, because truthfully a sunflower is not a fall flower. We just kind of adopted it for that, but it's really not. So let me move this a little bit. No, I think it's good. So anyway, I went ahead and added some brown to put some browns in it, or more natural or fallish colors in there. So I added the brown curlicues. I didn't add any leaves. I left the leaves separate, but here they are already cut apart, and where you could adhere them wherever you wanted to. And I did make 4 of these. So I did the ones where you can't even see, you can see a little bit of the yellow sunflower inside. I did one that you can't see anything at all, and then I did one that was a little bit more open, and you can see more of the yellow, you can see the brown inside. So these are the ones that I created. So I'm gonna hopefully walk you through on how I created these. Let me move them. And the reason I like to put them on a wire is because when I was cake decorating, I had to poke them into, not necessarily into the cake, but a spike or something that would hold the bouquet of flowers. So I was kind of used to doing stems on them, because I knew that I had to, have a little bit of a stem where I could poke them into that little spike. So I'm going to get these out of the way and walk you through on how I made them. Now, there's different things you can use. If you have, this is a cotton ball that my friend Ginger had gifted me. She gifted me a pack in a variety of pastel, like cotton balls or pom-poms. And I think pom-poms. And this one was yellow, but it's more like a pastel yellow, so it wasn't exactly the right color. So if you can find the pom-poms in a pastel yellow, and if you can find them in the brown, that would make the perfect center, that you wouldn't have to color or anything. But make sure that the yellow is the dark yellow. So yeah, I thought so. I always have this trouble with the little arm on my phone, and I removed my bar that I kept my phone on, because I felt like it made me feel caged in, because it was sitting on my desk where I work, because that's where I record. So I went back to the little arm and just saving the other when I have more room to set up a table, but this one tends to want to swing around. So it always gives me problems as far as that goes. Hopefully it'll behave a little bit today. So anyway, or you can use some foam balls, and I'm going to show you how I use these. So I'm going to take one out of here. Now you are going to need like an X-Acto knife or some type of blade to cut the foam. And this is a very soft foam. This is not that rough foam. Now, and all I did was I took my blade and I didn't slice it in half, because all I wanted was a little bit of roundness to go on the center of the sunflower. So I cut off just those little tips. So there I have 2 centers. And then this one, I wouldn't actually throw away. I think these are like 1-inch balls, styrofoam balls. I would actually cut this one down the middle and just shape it with my scissors or my knife to give it a round top. Not so much a flat one, but kind of domed. And make sure your blade is nice and sharp. So that's all I did to make the center. As you can see, well, this one you can't, well, a little bit. It is a little bit domed, and that's what you want to do on the sunflowers. So I'm going to move those out of the way, and I'm hopefully going to start. And you're also going to need some wire. This is cloth covered wire, but there is paper covered wire. This is what I had from my cake decorating days, and I actually didn't have any, but Abby was packaging stuff because she sells it in her shop, because she sells a lot of cake decorating supplies. So she had a bunch, and I just kind of went and helped myself to a little bundle. And so you're going to need some, and if you don't have it, regular wire will do, and you can cover it up with tape. So this is like a paper tape that you will find in the floral department, and I like this light color, and it does come in different colors. It comes, oops, dropped it. Didn't want to do that. Oh, I really need to sweep my floor. I got paper everywhere. I've been working on fall decorations. So it comes like in a dark green, and then it comes in a brown. It comes in this kind of a kiwi color. And for the sunflowers, the leaves and all petals are more like a kiwi color or a sage color versus a dark color. So that's the color I chose to do on mine. So whether you have a silver wire, you can still wrap it with this. And even if you have a cloth covered wire, you're still going to need the tape. So it just, that just depends on you. I have a lot of my things already prepared, and I'm going to share with you. Oh, I didn't grab it. Let me grab it really, really quick, guys. Hold on. Come back. So sorry, guys. I was working on my kitchen table. So I picked up this Anna Griffin set. And it has sunflowers, like 2 types of sunflowers, some foliage, the leaves, and then it's got a hydrangeas right here. And you use the stem and the leaves for the hydrangea and for the sunflower. So on today's flower, because I wanted to make it a little bit smaller, I'm going to use the Anna Griffin one. So I needed to grab that and share it with you. This one is bigger than the Anna Griffin, and I will tell you what size that one is. It measures about 2 3/4 of an inch across. So this is a pretty good size. But today I wanted to make some smaller ones, so we're going to make some smaller ones, and it doesn't matter what sunflower dye you have. I'm going to share with you something. This sunflower dye, when you cut it out, it's connected. Well, that doesn't work, for me it doesn't work, because I want it to look as realistic as possible. So what I did with this, I just kind of snipped it right where it's, I hope you can see, right where it's connected. I just snipped it, and on both sides of the petal, because I wanted to take that little piece off. See, it's just a little slither I take off, but to me, I don't like it. So I did that all the way around because it's partially open, but not all the way. So I kind of just, I'll do another one so you can see. I'll snip it on one side of the flower, and then on the other side to kind of shape that petal into a petal, and just remove that little piece that's in the center. And that's all I did to them to open up the petals. Now to shape them, let me move this really quick. Before you shape them, if you're going to add any other color to them, shading to them, right now is the time to do it before you shape them. And I'm not going to shape this one completely. I just want to share with you how I shape my petals. So all I do is I do spray it lightly with just water. I'm not going to spray this one because I'm only going to do a couple petals. Because I want to shade it in afterwards or before. So the 2 petals that I cut out completely, I'm going to show you what I would do. For the center, all I would use is one of these flower forming tools. I would use a flower forming tool and just kind of rub around the center, applying a little bit of pressure. And that, if you look at the petals, they're starting to pick up. The more pressure you apply, the more round, and you'll get that dome effect. See that? So that's how I do the center, and I do it on the back side of the flower. Then I flip it over to the front side, whatever you consider the front of your flower. And to shape my petals, all you do is with the smaller ball tool, you apply a little pressure at the tip of the petal and just rub it like if you're erasing towards the center, from the tip of the petal towards the center of the flower. And I'm not going to do the other ones because I didn't cut them apart. But I just want to show you how easy it is. So you apply a little pressure, like if you're erasing something, and you just glide the tip of that tool on the center of the petal, on the center of the petal towards the center of the flower. So that's all I'm doing. I'm applying pressure and pulling back, applying pressure and pulling back, and that's how you shape, or that's how I shape my flowers. So I'm going to set that aside because I already have mine pre-done. Now, for the flower, I need a little pair of pliers. For the flower, I'm going to make the one that's closed up first. And I'm going to use this, and what I'm going to do is I am going to trim it around because I want it to have a very small center. So I'm going to trim this all the way around to get it smaller. I just took a little bit off because I wanted a smaller circle. So if you have different sizes and pom-poms, that would be great. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my wire that I took from Abby. And with a pair of round nose pliers, I'm going to do like a little hook or a little loop. See what I did there? And then all I'm going to do is I'm holding it sideways. I'm going to hold on to that loop, and I'm going to bend the wire straight down. So see what I did there? The loop is across, and the stem is going straight down. And what that purpose is for, because you're going to stick it through the center of the foam ball or whatever you happen to be using to hold the center of your flower. So I'm going to add a little dab of hot glue, and I'm going to pull that little loop right onto that glue, and that's going to hold it in place, guys. For me, my flower's not going to come off the stem. That's going to hold it in place for me. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see that. We're going to actually take care of that in a minute. So now we're going to get the brown piece, and I did the same thing. I just took my ball tool. I can feel the glue. Just took my ball tool, rounded the center. Or if you don't want the brown to show, you can just take a petal. Let's just do a petal. So we're going to make like a bud instead of a full flower right now. So I'm going to take one that I already shaped, and it's more, see how this one is really closed in? It's because the more pressure you apply and pull it to the center, the more it's going to close up. And that's what I wanted in this flower for the bud. I already pre-poked a hole in the center, and all I'm going to do is run this, stick the wire in the center. Maybe I didn't make it big enough. Nope. Let me grab my tool and make it bigger. It doesn't have to be real big, but because this is covered in cloth, it does need to be a little bit bigger. And you're going to want to glue this to the center of your flower. And when I have it exactly where I think is in the center, I pretty much just hold it and pull the petals down, and I'll add a little bit of glue in here to kind of glue it in place. And I'll do that on both sides. I don't have to do it all the way around, but I do like to do it on both sides. So I'm just adding hot glue to glue it down. Now, if you had a brown pom-pom, or if you wanted to color this in brown, it would actually be better. Because if anything showed, it would be the brown, and that would be better. But I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm actually going to pretty much close mine up. So all I'm doing is pulling the petals in, just kind of smashing them all in. And I can add a little glue if I want to the edge, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. And let's add a little bit so at least they won't open up. So just add a little bit of glue so you can close the petals and they don't open up on you. And I want them to stay pretty much closed. And you can add more glue, whether it be hot glue or wet glue, whatever you decide to use to keep them all closed. So this is going to be the very, very center of my flower. So there's the beginning of our flower, guys, and I'll show you what the bottom looks like. And you can still see a little bit of the white foam, or you will be able to see whatever you use. So if you use a brown pom-pom, that would actually be better because the center of the sunflowers are brown. So now I'm going to take my green ones, and I did them in the sage color, and I already shaped these nice and tight. And this one. I already shaped it nice and tight because I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna thread it through. Make sure the hole is big enough because you are using cloth covered wire, and it tends to kind of want to pull away from the wire if it's too if the hole's too tight. So I'm gonna thread that through all the way up. My flower's going to be in the center. And I'm going to add a little bit, I'm going to pull it down a little bit and add a little bit of hot glue on a couple of sides. And then I'm just going to pull this up. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just kind of scrunch them up together around the flower. And there's the beginning of our bud. And I'm going to add one more. And by the time you add all these layers, guys, you won't even be able to see the white on your foam. The styrofoam you used, or the pom-pom, or whatever you happen to be using. Again, I added some hot glue. Pull this in. And at this point, you can either close it up again, or what I like to do, I like to pull some of these down, because at this stage, it's like the flower is actually starting to open, and you can actually shape it with a pair of round nose pliers. And I'm just going to give it some shape. That's pretty much it. One more. Because when it starts to open up, these petals start to curve down. So there's our bud. I'm going to have to use a heat gun to kind of zap it and get rid of the glue strings or webs. So there's our sunflower petal. That's how you make this. And I did ink it up with, I will tell you what I used, and I will link these in the description box because I love, love, love this these colors for shading. So it's, you have a darker, you have the medium, and then you have the very light, like a lime color. I use the medium on here, and I'm going to use the medium again just to kind of shade it in. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of shading. But typically you want to do this before you actually put it together, because now I'm going to bend my stem to get to the center of it. If I had done it prior to putting it together, then it would be flat. So let me straighten that up, and I'm going to add a little bit to the tops here. So there's my bud. Let me move this out of the way. Now let's make a full sunflower. I'm going to make a full sunflower now. Come on, thing. I don't know why my stand acts up, but it does. So now let's make a full one. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the foam. We're going to take our pliers. We're just going to make a little loop. and then we're going to hold it and bend the stem down. That's all we're doing. We're going to, actually in this one, I'm actually going to use a little brown center. And remember, you can punch this out if you don't have the center of a sunflower, or you have a flower that kind of has the petals of a sunflower and you don't have a center. Just use a round punch and you can get that center, and use the bigger tool to kind of round it. The more pressure you apply, the more it curves up. So I'm going to glue this to the top of the styrofoam. And I'm just going to add hot glue because it's faster, just for the sake of this video. But normally I would not use hot glue to put a flower together. And I'm just going to put this on top. And I'm leaving it on my foam because I actually need to poke a hole through the paper. Not so much the styrofoam, but through the paper. Yeah. So I can put my wire through it. Oh, I messed up, you guys. I messed up. I should have put the wire through it first. Okay, so we're going to put another dome. So don't do like I did. Put the wire through it first and then cap it with the brown, because that brown piece will cover the wire. But I'm just going to add another piece, so it'll be fine. So I'm adding a little bit of hot glue, and you want that loop to be in that hot glue. So I'm going to get another little brown piece that I have here because I have extras. And I'm going to cup it to shape it. I'm going to add some more glue to the top of my little bud. And now I'm going to glue this brown one on top. And it covers up most of my styrofoam. The bigger the circle, the more, of course, it will cover. But it really doesn't matter, because by the time I add the glass glitter, you're not going to see any of that white. So here is that. And now we're going to take, I like to do 3. And even though that one has one missing, that doesn't bother me. You're not going to see that. We'll put that on the middle, in the middle. So I'm going to make the holes bigger on my centers because I had already poked a hole through it thinking it was big enough, and it wasn't. So you're going to poke a hole, shape them the same way that I shaped them. And where's my green one? I know, here's my green one. And here is the base of my flower. So I used one of the sage green and 3 of the yellow ones for the sunflower. And all you're going to do is going to be the same thing. You're going to put your petal in. You're going to center your bud. And you're going to add glue to glue it down to your bud, to the wire piece. And I'm going to pull out the other side and add glue inside and glue it. Or underneath, should I say. There's one. Now I'm going to take the one that has the missing petal, because you want to kind of hide that. And I'm going to, before I glue them, I want to make sure that it's offset. So I'm going to twist it until my petals are offset. And now I can add glue to the bottom. And I'm holding it so it doesn't move on me. I'm adding glue to the bottom of that on both sides. See how you can pull it away from the piece and add the glue, and it doesn't move. When you put it back, it's right in the same spot. Now I'm going to add the third one. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make sure that my petals are offset. There. And pull it down and add glue in the center. You can feel the warmth of the hot glue underneath, but it's not too bad. But you got to be careful anytime you're using hot glue for sure. So, there. So there's all my yellow. And now I'm going to add the green one. The sunflower, when it starts to open up, the petals, the green ones, they curve down. So whatever your front side is, your prettiest side, that's what's going to be showing curving down. So this is the inside of my flower, the back side of my petals, And then this was the front, because if you do any veining or stamping, you want it to show. And all I'm going to do is slide this in there, add some glue, and glue it down. Hold it upside down if you want, whatever works for you, and glue it down. And you can push them up a little bit if you want, if you don't want them completely down, or you can actually close some if you want. It's like, really, it's your flower. So I'm going to open these up a little bit and just kind of playing with it to, you know, give it that look that I want. So there's my sunflower. So now we're going to cover the inside, and I actually need a tray. So in the center, all I did was grab some glue. You can add, actually I'm going to use glossy accents. I'm going to grab my glossy accents, and even especially where it's white, where I can see the styrofoam, I'm going to make sure I have plenty of glossy accents, because I want that to be covered all in the brown glass glitter. You do not want any of the white to be showing. So if you have a bigger hole punch, circle punch, and you can cover the whole dome, or you can use a brown pom-pom, that would be better. Let me cover this up so it doesn't dry up. By the way, I keep my glossy accent in these little bottles, and I don't hardly ever have to unplug it. So now, here's my little glass glitter. I'm going to make sure all of that is covered. And I actually like to kind of tap it down with my finger, making sure it's really adhered. And then I'm just going to pour it in my little tray. And I can see a little bit of white over here. So I'm going to add a little bit more. So you want to make sure to pay attention that you're not, that the white doesn't show. But if you start off with brown, then you don't have to worry about it, because it's not going to show. Because if anything shows, it will be the brown color. So I'm going to add some more there. And some more over here. I love using this little tray because I can just open the little funnel area and pour it back into my bottle. So there's the sunflower, guys. Here is the bud, and here's the sunflower. I will show you how I wire them together. So let's just move this aside, and I'll show you how I wire them together. This is where the paper tape comes in handy, or where I use it. And I'm just going to cut just a little piece, about 3 or 4 inches. And the way this glues, when you pull it, it activates a little bit of the sticky on the inside. So what I normally do, I would wrap my bud, and it's hard to wrap up here. So what you want to do is you want to wrap down here, and just I'm squeezing it so it'll glue to itself, and I'm twirling and squeezing at the same time. When I have a little bit, I'll slide this up to the bottom of the stem. Now I can comfortably wrap the rest of my flower, and the whole stem is wrapped. And all I'm doing is I'm pulling. As I'm twisting, I'm also pulling this a little bit, not too hard because it'll tear, and applying some, just like squeezing it so it'll stay glued. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other one, and I'm going to get a longer piece for this one. I'm going to pull it to stretch it. I'm going to start wrapping down here where I can do it comfortably. Wrap for a little bit, like about, I'm going to say about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to slide it all the way to underneath. Now I can comfortably finish wrapping that. Okay, but now remember we want to add the other one to it. So I'm going to stop about right there, and I'm going to add the other flower to it, however high I want it, and then I'll continue wrapping both of them together. I hope I explained this right, and I hope that you guys can see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is pulling a little bit, stretching it, and twirling it, and just making it nice and firm, tight. So, you know, by holding onto the tape, when I twist, it tightens it, it squeezes it, and it won't come off your flower. So I'm gonna break this stem right here, and usually what I do down here, whether it be with a stick, here I have something here. I actually have my little flower kit where I keep like my stamens, I keep my tapes, sometimes my little wires, a skewer, just little things that I need to make flowers. Sometimes I keep all those together. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to twirl it, and the tighter you keep it together, of course, the more tight the spiral is going to be. But I can just stretch it there. So there is my flower. If I were going to turn this flower, you can make a flower the same way if you're cake decorating, but you need to let it set so the gum paste will harden. When you go to turn a cake flower, you have to grab it by the bottom with a pair of pliers and turn it so it doesn't break off the stem. The paper, not so much, but a cake one, you would have to. So I like to turn my flowers in some. So there it is, guys. There is the sunflower. And I hope that it looks... There's the size different, guys. This is the one from Allie, and this is the one from Anna Griffin. Again, I can open the petals up if I want, or I can keep them more closed. It's totally up to me. It's my sunflower. I can add as many layers as I want. But there it is. There are the two flowers. And I didn't add the brown curly cues to this one, but I could. And there it is. On this one, I did shade in a little bit the petals. On this one, I did not. So it just depends on what look you're going for. And I think I used two different colors of yellow right here, like a mustard and like a sunflower yellow. And then I did do the edge with like a brick, with the color brick. Something that looks like a rust color would be great for that. But there it is. There are my two flowers. Now, if I wanted to do a closed up one that was more closed up, I wouldn't have put the yellow in, and I would have held the green ones tighter so you wouldn't be able to see the center of the bud. But that's how I made these flowers, guys. I hope that you like them, and I hope that you try them. And if you do try them, tag me on Instagram so I can see them. Thanks for watching. I hope everyone is having a great day. Take care, my friends, and God bless. Bye.